most women are going to date a guy who has kids. Mm-hmm. We don't really look at that as a bad thing, but most men are going to look at that as a red flag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't necessarily look at a man with children as red flags. And I think a lot of it is because we are generally nurturing people.
Yeah.
So hi guys, welcome back. We are back at it.
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
And we're going to go right into a email that we got. Now, I have been looking at the emails, and sorry it took so long, you guys, but I'm glad I got back to everybody. To let you guys know that when we get back, we're going to start doing the emails again. So we're going to start with this one. This is from Yolanda. She says, "Hello, Kara and Danielle. I've been seeing a man that has 3 kids by 2 different women. The oldest is 10, the youngest is 4. He is nice. The only thing is that one of the mothers, side note, I don't like using the term baby mama, baby daddy, me neither, is a bit of a hothead and has an attitude. I can see her being a problem. I'm 36, I have no kids, and I prefer to date men with no kids as well, but there are exceptions. He and I had a conversation about her, and he said, this is a quote, she's just like that, and she won't be a problem. We are still early into dating. So my questions are: would you let this one go? Think she's meaning, would you let this man go? Yeah. Or would you give it a chance? And also, what are your general thoughts on men with kids from multiple women? I look forward to your thoughts on this, Yolanda. Thank you, Yolanda, for the email. So men. Well, first of all, what are our thoughts in general with men with kids? So I'm 44. I don't know if you guys know how I'm 44. So the men that I date are gonna. I mean, it's highly likely that he's gonna already have children. Especially at this age. But most of the men that you're gonna date are gonna have kids that are already graduated.
Yeah, that's true.
From high school.
But some will have, like, you're in a situation. You're 36. I'm not sure. You didn't say how old he is, but I'm assuming that he's, maybe around there, 40s. Yeah. So that's what you say. 10 and the youngest one is 4. Okay, and one of the mothers is a problem. That's okay. So I don't like drama. I mean, I guess the way I can put this is that I just don't like drama, right? And this is a big, like, this can turn into a big dramatic thing, I feel like. And it's like oftentimes society in general talks so much about single mothers and men dating single mothers. That seems to be the big topic, right? Mm-hmm. Men dating single mothers, and how it's just a mess waiting to happen. And, single mothers, it's just not ideal to date a woman with children, because, it's the drama behind it. Sometimes the fathers of the kids don't get along. It's the whole thing. But it's like we don't talk enough about women dating men with kids when she has no kids.
Right, which would be us, because we don't have children.
We don't have children.
You know what I mean? So I don't mind children as long as the parents are cordial with each other.
Right.
I don't like drama, and I don't want drama. So to me, that situation would be unideal for me, because I can't take petty women.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, men pick the wrong women, just like women pick the wrong men. And so for me, that would be a no. Yeah. I'm not you, so I don't like to tell people who to be with and who not to be with, because I don't know the chemistry of the relationship. But for me, no. I have a problem when men have multiple children by different women. Yeah, in general. I don't mind if you have 4 children, but they're all by the same woman. I do have a problem when men have like 3 children and they're by three different women, or
sometimes even 2. But I guess the circumstances, like she said, there's exceptions.
Well, right, but
it's still,
there are a lot of men out here who have kids, and they've got 6 children by 5 different women. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of men like that. That's not rare.
Right.
Especially in our community, it's really not rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think we do talk a lot about single mothers and men dating single mothers. And I get men when they say they don't want to date single mothers because of certain reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of black women, and we're black, that I'm a woman that has no children, and I love children. I would love, and I don't actually mind even dating or marrying a man who has children, because I think women in general, we accept men more with children because we're nurturers in general. You know what I mean? And I don't think men like to accept women because they don't have a nurturing feeling.
They're more logical. So
Yeah.
when they see a woman coming with children, they look at money and they look at, it's not my child, so why I'm spending my money on it. So when women can think, oh, this is a child, we need to, I want to make sure the kid is okay, and even if it's not mine.
Yeah, you thought. Yeah, I agree with that. It's like you.
Because that would be me. I'm sorry. That would be me. If I married a guy who had like 3 kids and say they were all under the age of 10, I would treat them like they were my kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm a woman, and that's the nurturing part of me that wants to make sure that they're eating and that they're dressed well, and you know what I mean. And so they don't have to actually come from me. You know what I mean? But I do think with men, they think differently. They think this isn't my kid. I don't want to pay money for a kid that's not mine. I don't want to invest time. And you know, if you feel that way, I don't have any problem with that, because I also don't think that you should invest in a child if you think you're going to leave.
Yeah.
Because that could do more harm.
Well, you're early, and then I did speak with you just briefly, and I so what I came to understand is, or what you made me understand, is that the two oldest children is 10 and the youngest one is 4. So the 2 older children are from one woman, right? And then it's the 4-year-old that's the newest. You know what I mean? It's from the woman that's be causing the problem, or that's going to be a problem, as you were saying. Sometimes you have to listen to the words that people say, and when a man says, what did she say? 'Cause I thought that was interesting when she quoted it. Oh, he said, "She's just like that."
I mean, that's up to
I
you.
mean,
to me, I don't have a problem like that, mostly because he's saying that's just the way she is. You're gonna have to understand that. So he's telling you, this is just he's not her boss. So he's not going to.
But you have to read between the lines. When someone says she's just like that, what that's saying to me is that she's always like that.
Right.
But I don't think people pay much attention to the fact that there is a lot of drama that goes with dating men with kids. It can be. Some are great, some is fine, but there can be some real issues with that.
I think that when people have kids by other people, the person that's the outsider parent, the person that's the breakup parent, say in this situation, the mother, she still feels like on some level they're connected because of these kids. But I feel like the same thing with men when they start having kids with women, and then the woman gets another man.
Yeah.
They don't want a lot of men around their kid. You know what I mean? It's because you've created a family that's no longer a family.
Right.
And so you still feel like you have some sort of ties. And you do, really, because you have kids. You know, these people have frivolous sex. And then they have, even if they have a relationship, say they have a relationship for a year and then make a baby within that year. You know what I mean?
Then what?
Then they have another relationship, they make another one.
Yeah, what I mean? Happens a lot.
You have to know that whatever happens, it's like when people have debt. They come with debt, they come with you. You know what I mean? Anything that person was currently dealing with is now going to be in your life, and you have to make sure that you want to deal with that.
Yeah, and you said you're 36, and you prefer to not date men. That you prefer to date men who don't have kids. You just happen to like this one, right? So, I mean, this is a part where I kind of feel like on the other hand type situation, because just like what I would say with single women, men with kids, especially if they have custody of them, that happens. Especially if they have custody of the kids, a whole different situation, but. I don't think a man is a damaged goods because he has children. And, because a lot of, I know that it's looked at different. There's a double standard there because women are looked at as, I don't know, like when single mothers, it's a more of a bad like stigma against single mothers.
I just think is that women accept men being playboys. Yeah. Like, we don't care if you sleep around. Yeah, like most women are going to date a man even if he slept around. Yeah. But most men don't really want to date a woman that slept around. It's because we think differently. There's you know what I'm saying? So the same thing with children. Most women are going to date a guy who has kids. We don't really look at that as a bad thing, but most men are going to look at that as a red flag. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't necessarily look at a man with children as red flags. And I think a lot of it is because we are generally nurturing people. Yeah. So it's just like, I think that women are more accepting of it than men because of the nurturing factor and the fact that women are more likely to accept men. I'll have to say this. I think women are more accept men with problems than the other way around.
They are. And that's why you're even asking the question, because you're contemplating this, because as a woman you're able to kind of put that in the back of your head a little bit and say, well, he's a nice guy. I like them. Whereas a lot of men, if they date a woman who has a problematic ex situation, she has children, a lot of times they'll just exit the scene. They'll just leave because they're like, I don't want to deal with that. But women do. They'll go ahead and prolong maybe a possible bad situation. Now, I don't know if this is a bad situation exactly, but like Kara was saying, like he is telling you. Now, those words, man, this is just how she is. This is just how she is.
This is just how she is.
Like, don't, if you pursue this and it just takes off and y'all have a good relationship, remember, if anything goes weird with this lady, this ex, remember those words. This is just how she is. So don't claim confusion once something starts to pop off and then you're like, wait, why is this girl acting like this? Well, you were already told at the beginning. And you said it's early stages. You guys are not even boyfriend, girlfriend yet. You're just really interested in them. But I feel you because you don't want to. It's good that you're contemplating this. You know what I mean? Before you just jump into the relationship, because people don't do this. They don't look at people's history. The history of the people around them. They just date them and don't realize that some people come with drama and baggage. You know what I mean? Bad stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I get it. Like, there's a lot of women who say what men say. I won't date a woman with kids. Men say that a lot. There's a lot of women who say that too. Women who don't have children, there's a lot of them who say, I will not date a man with children.
Yeah.
And men sometimes get mildly offended by that. And I'm just like, well, no, she has. Maybe she just doesn't want what comes with that.
I mean, it's different than your child you have together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you have a child, I think Kevin Samuels said this once. He said it to this girl that he was explaining to her why men don't really like single mothers. And he made a good point of saying that I don't have any authority over this child because it's not mine. And pretty much you're going to take the authority level because if I try to discipline them, then it's going to be, you're not my father, but I'm still going to have to be financially responsible.
That struggle is going to happen.
The struggle is usually going to happen. You know what I mean? He was like, then what happens is, then if we have a child together, then my authority level is going to be different with my child than your children. They're all living in the same house. So they made a good point of saying that. That is confusing. There's something I never even thought of.
A normal, perfect world, it would be ideal. Well, back in the 50s, 60s, or whatever, it would be ideal to meet both people, don't have kids. That would be ideal because there's no extra baggage with that. You just start fresh with you and the person. But like my general idea of dating men with kids, I don't mind it at all, as long as they have mutual respect, the ex situation is handled.
That's interesting because every man that I've ever dated never had children.
Oh, really?
I've never had a real relationship. Like the real relationships I've had, they've all been men without children. And they liked me because I didn't have children. Yeah.
So men that date me,
even when I was in my 20s, none of the guys I dated had kids, and neither did I. And so I guess they did. You think about, now we talk about the fact that a lot of men kind of tell other men not to date women that have children. And I never used to think that was true, but I guess that is true. Because when I was in my 20s, then when I even, like my last boyfriend, he didn't have it either.
Yeah.
But he wanted to have kids with me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have kids by other people. He felt like, they mostly felt like they would be the first with me.
Right.
So, I mean, I would mind dating a man with children.
No, I don't mind it at all, actually.
But again, only if all the children came from the same mother.
See, that's where I get a little bit, and I know this is judgment, you guys. So let me just say, I just know this is judgment. I feel like it's just me trying to use my better judgment, but dating a man now that has, like 4 kids, or 3 kids by 3 different women, when we start getting to the multiple mothers, is when it starts getting a little strange for me, because I'm like, that's a lot of feminine energy just around,
I think it's, what it is, Phil? This is judgment. I think it's reckless. That's what I feel about it.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I don't like when men have multiple children by multiple women.
Yeah.
Because I think it shows a recklessness about you, that you are having relationships. You're having an intimate relationship with women, and you're procreating with a woman that you don't intend to marry.
Yeah.
And even if you did marry them, you've been married 3 times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been married 4 times. You know what I mean? As to me, I just feel like I like people with standards.
Yeah.
And they, you know what I mean? Like, you got married once, and out of that marriage, say you were married for 10 years and you had 3 or 4 children, and then you guys decided to get a divorce, I would be more likely okay to marry a man like that, because I would feel like he did get some longevity in that relationship, and they had children. And I also would think the mother was a little more mature, because she had all her kids by this man.
Yeah.
And not a whole bunch of other ones.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I look at that. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, if things happen, sometimes you meet a woman and you like her, and then you have a child and you mean to, and then you do it again, and then it was an accident. And I actually did, there was this guy that actually did ask me out a couple years ago, and he had 3 different children by 3 different women. He tried to explain it because I didn't have kids, so he felt weird. So it's sort of a reversal situation where all of a sudden men trying to date a woman that doesn't have children, they feel like they explain their kids. I was like, you don't have to explain. He was just like, it didn't work out, and then I cheated on he admitted to cheating on his wife, his first wife, and then he got this other woman pregnant, and then it didn't work out for 6 months. Then he married another woman. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then he had another kid, and I was just like, well, that's immature behavior. Mm-hmm.
There's something.
I don't want to be your 4th baby mama. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to be in the long line of baby mothers.
Which is why I think polygamy is on the rise. Yeah. Because we're already doing it.
In a way.
So in a weird way, we already are. I mean, it says so many women are having children by multiple men. You know what I mean? It's like you say, I don't want to share my man with anybody, but you are.
When I was in New York, I dated a guy that he had a child when he was 17. And so that was so his daughter at the time was now, I think she was now 17. So it's been 17 years later. And then he got married again. So this is years later. He got married again. He's trying to explain to me, because I don't have kids. And so men who have kids that date me are, they always wanted to over explain why they have these babies, right? So he got married, and they had a child, right? He was married for 3 years. They got a divorce. So it's like the time span is pretty, it's wide. And then he said, and so they got a divorce after 3 years. I asked him if he wants more children or whatever, and he said, see, I don't know if I want more children. I said, why? He said, because that's 3 mothers. He said, I think I'm done. I said, really? He said, yeah, because the idea, I already have 2. I was like, well, it kind of just explain, like you made a error judgment when you were young, 17 or 16 or whatever. And then you did the right thing. You got married when you got older, and then married her, and then had the child. You did everything the right way, got the home and everything. And then it didn't work out, then you got the divorce, right? He's like, right, then if I get married again and we have a child, then I have 3 mothers now. I have 3 women that have children of mine. He said, something about that just doesn't seem attractive. And I was like, well, I mean, to a lot of women, maybe it's not. I mean, that might be true.
But then you might meet up women who have 3 kids, but kids by different...
Right. But like you said, but that's like you were saying, though, there's a double standard where that is looked at.
He's okay for him, but not for
him. Right. That's what I mean? And that is a double standard that people will roll their eyes at, but it is what it is. We don't make the rules. It is what it is. Like, people will look at women different.
I mean, I'm not a virgin, so I've always been super protective of myself whenever I have been with men that I've been in relationships with, because I really don't, unless you're married to me, I really don't want to have a child by you. Right. Because we were raised by a single mother. And so I have empathy and sympathy for single moms. I'm not trying to put down single mothers or fathers. There's a lot of single fathers out there as well. But I know how hard that is. And I know how hard that is. It's hard, specifically for women, because we have to then date. Mm-hmm. See, a lot of women when they get pregnant by these guys, they get custody of the kids. Yeah. But then the guys that got them pregnant look single without children because they don't live with them. Which is
usually how it goes. Now, remember the guy, I've dated another guy when I was in New York. He had custody of his 2 girls, right? And they were like 7 and 8. They were younger. And because the mother was having, she had a mental illness. So she was away, she had to be put away. So he had custody of his children. And, he used to tell me all the time, the struggle of being a real single father. Like a single father, people always, men who don't have custody of their children call themselves single fathers. And I guess that is true, technically. But I'm talking about the single fathers who have custody of the children. That, they get a little
Well, I always think, are you a single mother if you get child support?
Yeah, does that make you...
You're a single woman. But you're getting
the child you're not paying for by yourself. So because the father is paying child support.
The single part of it's saying that you literally it's all on you.
Yeah, that's what I like my mom. Our mom it was all on her.
Yeah,
my mother paid everything by herself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but there are a lot of women that
But like if a man has custody of his children, does that switch the game?
Not for me, because the thing is I would love to adopt a child. Yeah. So I would love a child that wasn't mine anyway. You know what I mean? Even if it came from me or if I was able to adopt. And I think that a lot of women are like that. That's the reason why a lot more women accept single fathers than the other way around. But a lot of men have always said that another thing, the reason why a lot of men don't want to date single mothers, because they feel unappreciated once they do it.
Yeah.
And I get that. That is true. Because women don't know how to share their children the right way. Like, they don't know how to let somebody else discipline, but they do want him to take care of bills
and stuff like that.
And then they have to deal with the father of the child.
He can't discipline.
He can't discipline because she's been doing it for so long. So, I get that too. You know what I mean?
It's such a problem. What's funny is that I understand men who don't want to date single mothers. But I do not believe that single mothers are damaged goods. Like, I just don't believe that at all. I think that, things happen in life, and you made some people have made decisions they're not proud of, and then that decision resulted in a child. This has happened sometimes, okay? And it is what it is. I don't think that you should be doomed for the rest of your life and be pushed off of some island of single mothers. No, I think they deserve to be happy and whatever. But I do think there has to be, before if anyone has children, before they start dating, the important thing is that you make sure that you have a good relationship or a decent, cordial relationship with your ex. That way we can eliminate the problems Yolanda may be looking at. Because if you don't have that kind of that kind of like decent relationship where you co-parent correctly. Co-parenting is important in these situations. And if you are not able to co-parent, correctly and calmly and maturely, then it's going to result in someone being a problem. And if she's already mouthing off to you,
for me, this is all about the children and not me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like what's going to happen is, even if you get in a relationship like that, and then it gets to the point where you don't want that woman in the house, but then her kids have to come here. You don't want your children to have to go through this little adult bickering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd much rather not be in his life if it means his kids are going to have to deal with these two grown women with attitudes. You know what I mean? And I refuse to have an attitude through my whole relationship.
Yeah.
Especially with some woman who's not supposed to be in his life anymore in that sort of way. It's always kids first when you date people who have kids. It's the children first, because the kids have to like them.
Right.
But also you have to give up a certain. You have to share. You know what I mean? You have to share responsibilities, and you have to understand that when you bring someone into your life, the dynamics of a relationship. So if you're a person that has a child, and then you bring another person in your life, the dynamic has to change. The kids have to get that.
Like, when situations happen, I always feel like it's important. I don't understand why sometimes they have attitudes. Because if I was a mother and my ex was starting to date someone new and got into a relationship with someone new, I do want to know about her. She didn't be around my children or my child, so I do want to know about her. But the last thing I want to do is be mean to her. Like, I wouldn't want to be mean to her at all. As a matter of fact, I would want it to be like a cordial kind of relationship between me and the mother,
because I would want her to feel safe.
It's about the kids.
I would want her to feel safe with me with her children. So to me, I don't see the point in that. But I do think that we have a lot of childish people having kids.
I know,
and that happens. I see women all day long that walk around here who they have 3 or 4 children, and they are so immature, and that immaturity just never goes away in relationships. They're all petty and rude, and unfortunately,
this is just how she is.
Anybody can make children. You don't have to have you don't have to have a license for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. See, because back in the 50s and 60s, birth control wasn't like it is now. You can get birth control. You can get an abortion, and so before the 50s, really, women had to be picky with men, because it was a stigma to get pregnant before you were married, and then also abortion was illegal. So you had women laying on kitchen tables trying to kill their baby. You know what I mean? And then birth control wasn't a thing, really.
You know what I mean? So women got married.
That's why they were virgins.
Women got married when they were 18 and 21. So those things all changed when feminism came, because feminism with that came birth control and you know, Roe v. Wade and
which means frivolous sex. Which means frivolous sex.
We were liberated.
Yeah, and that just means that
Yeah,
that just kind of like put it all into like a whirlwind of just negligence of your behavior.
And even though I never, you know, it's funny, the last time I took birth control, you know, besides condoms, was when I was in my early 20s. And then I stopped taking it because because if I ever wanted children, I was afraid fertility problems could happen, because people do have problems with fertility after birth control.
If they have birth control.
You know what I mean? And so I just thought, I just won't have a lot of sex.
Yeah. Which is a
how I
decision.
feel. You know what I mean? I just want to have a lot of sex, or I'll have sex with a guy that I'm in a relationship with, but I am really protected. Like, I don't want to be, you know, a single mother to me is something that happens, but it's not ideal. It's not something you just go out and want to be.
Now, we all know that the 100% protection is not having
sex at all.
At all.
But, you know, I'm 45, so that's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? But what I will say is that I think that we need to be more, we need to respect sex more than we do.
I think that's
we just
true.
don't anymore. You know what I mean? We think it's just like a pastime, like watching television. Like, people just go and have sex, have kids, and you know.
Then you get into these compromising situations.
Life changing,
and then your dating life gets weird, because then you have to, because majority of people have children now. I mean, a lot of people have children. Everyone I know has children.
Right.
You know, so I feel like it.
And like I said, I've dated, most of the guys I've dated have been childless, and they want to have kids, but they don't want to have it with a woman that already has kids.
You're dealing with a man who is upfront saying that she kind of is like, you know, headstrong, kind of, you know, has attitude type of thing.
Then you got to give him props, because at least he's telling you.
He's
not sitting there trying to lie to you and make it seem like he's going to do anything about it. He's saying this is just who she is. And, you know, if you like her, if you like him enough to deal with that, then be with him. But understand that kids don't come into a person's life with children, and then as soon as you don't, you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want kids to have to see different people all the time. Right. You know what I mean? That's what they say, like single mothers or fathers. Like, you shouldn't see your parent with I was just talking to mom about that the other day, because mom said that she, like I was saying, the one thing we never had were a lot of revolving door men.
Yeah, my
mother didn't have a revolving. I mean, I think I knew 2 of her relationships. You know what I mean? But there was.
And she dated. Look, now we're older. So we talk to our mom, you know, like obviously as adult women, we all talk as adult women, and it turns out my mom was dating.
Yeah, we didn't have these uncles.
No, we didn't. Yeah,
we didn't have these uncles that came over to hang out, you know, with my mom all the time. My mother was a very young mother. She had me when she was 18 years old. She had Danielle when she was 19. And then that was the end of her childbearing. She didn't want to have me. I mean, well, she said she wanted to, but she wanted to be married. Yeah. We had the same father. So, but my mother was not a woman that she had a revolving door of men coming in our life.
Yeah,
just wasn't like that. She was a single mom, but she was very domestic and very clear.
Yeah, she balanced. She balanced it pretty well. I mean, under the circumstances, like under those circumstances, she balanced.
She balanced it really well. To be so young,
yeah,
she was never like a woman that. I'm sure she missed out on a lot of her young years, but she never went to clubs. She never like drank a lot. She always cooked dinner. She always was, you know what I mean? So we had, to me, the best of a lot when it came to single mothers.
I think so, too.
But, and you know, she really ingrained us not to ever be that.
Yeah.
Because she's just not hard. She never pretended like this was I love children. I'm glad I have you. But I would have preferred to be married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that didn't happen for her. But she did train us to do that, or to be that way. And so we did. We didn't have kids out of, you know, marriage. So my thing is that I think I've always looked at relationships like that. If I meet a man, we have to be for real. Because I don't want to be another woman around your kids.
Yeah.
Because it only hurts them. Kids grow up with that, and they become messed up adults.
Dating men with children is to be more selective with it. I mean, there's some men get like, no. You know, it's like an absolute no out the gate. You can already tell it's going to be an issue. And there's some where you're just like, well, you know, he has children. Or he has a child, or whatever it is. But I do get, you know, like, I don't think, and you know, you don't know what the future is for you. You don't know circumstances. You know, I can't tell the future, but I don't think that I would want to date a man who has like 4 kids by 4 different women. That type of man to me, it just feels like is reckless in his behavior, especially when they're like stair-step age and all that. I'm like, what were you doing? Every year you were just having kids. You know, and so there's a select men that just will not date whatsoever. We're actually going to continue this conversation
into our Friday show. Just continue this conversation. I'll break up this video because it's going to be long. Yeah, it's going to be a long video. And so check back with us on Friday.